Hi gang, welcome back to Wine and Carburetors, actually at Sully's Garage. Today we're going to be working on rebuilding a master cylinder. This is always kind of a fun little adventure. I'll walk you through it, give you some pointers and some ideas, and hopefully you'll be an expert at this when we're done. Okay, so first thing you need to know about the master cylinder is when you're buying one of these, and if you're buying one used off eBay or something, always ask if the piston in here has some movement in it. Take off the brake lever and push your finger up and down. If it's got movement, it means it's not seized. Most of the time, well, not most of the time, but a lot of time these guys are seized up, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to get them unseized. One way you can do it, which I did do with mine because it was pretty seized, just so you know, brake fluid is soluble with water, which is also another big pointer. Do not get brake fluid on your hands. It goes directly into your skin and straight to your kidneys and liver, and it's really horrible for you. So when you're working with brake fluid, make sure that you wear rubber gloves. Anyway, you can take the whole master cylinder and boil it out like they used to do with carburetors and stuff in the old day, because it is soluble with water. I took my whole master cylinder, put it in a pot of boiling water, left it there for a couple hours, kept adding water, and just let it boil out, and slowly got some movement out of this. If you have another master cylinder, you can hook them together, pump them back and forth until this one it'll slowly kind of let up. You definitely don't want to force it, because if you scratch the inside of the cylinder, inside the housing, it becomes pretty much worthless. Anyway, so your first bit is to find yourself a good master cylinder. You'll need ring pulling pliers. A couple awls are nice to have just to work things around, some needle nose pliers and stuff to get this out. The first thing you'll do is take off, like I said, take off the brake lever. There'll be a rubber sheeting around the piston. I generally just kind of pull that off. Sometimes they come out really easy, sometimes they're rotten and you got to kind of yank them off and stuff, so that's good. Usually around those there is a little metal retaining ring that holds it on. The next thing then, you'll see if you look down in there, there's going to be a little clamp. You got to get one of these guys in there and get it out. Mine wasn't long enough for this. You can get a couple awls and struggle all day long, which I kind of did. I pre-did this one so I didn't waste all your time, but looks like that little guy. It's got the little holes on the ends, so you can get that out. And then your piston should just slide right out, especially if it's not seized. That's the first part of your piston. On the end of it, there's going to be a piece of rubber and a spring. Kind of pay attention how this thing comes out, because you're going to put it back in the same order, or you can reference your book on how to put it back together. So you have your master cylinder apart. Now I would recommend, while you have it apart, doing all your polishing. If you are going to polish it, get it nice and clean. The one thing you really want to do too is kind of try to get the cylinder in there as clean as you possibly can. I took some a little rag and a piece of stick and kind of put it down there and swished it around as much as I can. Try to get as much gunk out of there as you can, because you don't want to seize up your master cylinder. Make sure the bowl is as clean as you can possibly get it. And do all your polishing first, because your polishing will heat this up pretty considerably, and you don't want to mess up the rubber and all that stuff inside of there. You can go online and get your master cylinder rebuild kit. Make sure you get the right one. I got this from Cycle Recycle 2. Those guys have been really good to me. I got the wrong part, and they were really graciously sent me all the right parts real quick. So now you just got to kind of go backwards and put this thing back together. It's pretty straightforward. First, there's a spring. It's got a little cap on it. And then there's a kind of a little valve piece that you've got to put on the back end of it. That slides in first. Little valve piece goes in the bottom. When you get the kit, that valve piece might not be on there. Your next piece is going to be this little rubber plunger. The open end of it sits on top of that spring. It's really easy to get it upside down, so make sure you get it in right side up. Again, the open end goes towards the spring. Sometimes when you're doing this, it's a good idea to put a little bit of brake fluid on it. I'm going to try to do it dry, but you can put a little brake fluid in here, or coat the rubber pieces and stuff with a little brake fluid to He's kind of lube putting everything together. But again, I suggest if you do that, make sure you wear rubber gloves. Again, brake fluid is terrible for you. Next is going to be the plunger. It's this guy. It's got a little flower pattern on the end. That's going to sit on the flat part of that top of the plunger that you just put in there. Again, it's got the another little rubber plunger. And once you put that in, you can kind of slide everything down. Again, make sure when you cleaned this that you kept your cylinder wall inside there nice and clean and didn't gum anything up or scratch it. If you scratch it again, it can be a real problem. So push that down in a little bit. Next you have a washer that sits on top of that piece. It goes around the plunger like that. And then the last piece we're going to have to put in here before we put on the cover is the little C-clip. This is always kind of the fun part to get this thing together. I've got the C-clip in. My plunger works just fine. And now the last piece I have to do is put the little rubber boot on it and we're pretty much done. You know, the hardest part of this job, this whole job I would say by far, is getting that old, the C-clip out on the old one. It would be made a million times easier if you had a good C-clip puller. I got this cheap little wrench, one of those bins at the hardware store. You know, like the $4 tool bin or whatever, so I'm probably going to invest in a better one, maybe one that's a little bit longer, has a little bit more strength. But so you get that rubber boot, and the last thing you got to do is drop the little clamp around it. This kit did come with it, so you don't have to salvage that, obviously. So I got that last little rubber, boot on there, and I got the little clamp ring around it. That is how you rebuild a master cylinder.